Hey everyone, it is Throwback Thursday.
Throwback Thursday on Mark Fisher Outdoors, and we're going to continue our little series about separating the men from the boys. What separates tournament anglers from everyday weekend kind of warriors.
Yep.
And today we're going to be talking about dock talk. The good, the bad, and the ugly related to dock talk. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to MFO, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher.
I'm Megan Fuller.
So we're going to talk about dock talk, and I'm going to talk about how I think dock talk is kind of like a drug. You can use it to your benefit. It can also hurt you, and you might get a little addicted to it too. So you got to be careful. So there's some pitfalls to that.
But speaking about addiction, so if you guys are really into our channel,
I love it.
Please hit the subscribe button, and
we've got the cure for you.
Yeah, we do. Like it, write some comments, and it'll be the safest addiction you've ever developed.
Awesome. I love that one. That was great. All right, let's talk about dock talk.
What is dock talk?
Dock talk. Okay. In a typical situation, guy gets out, he's ready to go fishing, and there's guys mingling around the dock, and hey, how you doing? How you catching them? Oh, I'm catching them pretty good doing this. I'm catching them pretty good doing that. And so as an angler, we're always, guys are walking down the dock and they're looking at other guys' boats. So, oh, I see a spinnerbait on his deck. Oh, I see, crankbait on his deck, because we're wondering how the other guy's catching them. And sometimes we get to the point, especially when we're not doing very well, where we're going, hey man, are you catching them? How you doing it? How you catching them? And other guy, oh man, I'm crushing them doing this, or I'm doing this, or I'm over in this area.
Okay.
Dock talk, there's a time and a place for dock talk, okay? But I think one of the things that's very telling when it comes to the pros versus the weekend guys is that you have to, I guess the best analogy that I have is dock talk is like a drug in several ways. Number one, it can be helpful. Mm-hmm. If you need it, you can use it.
Right.
To an extent, in small doses, okay? But you absolutely don't want to rely on it. You have to be able to kind of have your own confidence and strength to be able to fish properly. And that's what a pro knows, is that I got to go out and do things my way, whether it works or doesn't work, as opposed to just following what I heard somebody else say.
Because you have this onslaught of information, right? And that can kind of probably even get overwhelming and not help as much as...
Well, yeah, right. and you're absolutely right. And not to mention the fact that that information doesn't take into account your strengths as an angler versus what theirs are. You could be talking to somebody who says, hey man, I'm crushing them and I'm using this certain kind of bait. And, first of all, you don't know where and what the situation was that they were crushing them on that bait. Mm-hmm. For all you know, they were doing that at a perfect feeding time where the fish were they were going to eat anything. Okay, so you don't know all the information. The other thing is, you don't know, for all you know, that bait might not fit into your wheelhouse in terms of what you're good at doing. So you go out and try and imitate it. Mm-hmm. And it just doesn't, you don't work that bait the same way or with the same expertise that they did, and you're not going to do any better. That has a tendency to bring your confidence down even farther than it was before.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Now look at it from the other standpoint. I'm not doing real well. I know they're doing well. I can take that dock talk and go, hey, there are fish to be caught here. There are people who are catching them well. I just need to figure out what fits in my wheelhouse, what fits in my strengths, and find a way to do that. That can give me that encouragement to go out and do it. I'm not saying, hey, maybe if he said he was throwing a rattle trap, I'm going to try throwing a rattle trap. But I'm not going to get stuck on that rattle
Right.
trap to the point where I continue to go down that rabbit hole in the wrong direction.
So like incorporating what they're saying into your already
Into your
knowledge.
arsenal, into what,
Right.
into your knowledge base, right? Hey, he was catching them on a wake bait. Okay, that may not be my strength, but I wonder if they would hit a different topwater bait. I'm going to throw a buzz bait. Let's see if maybe that'll work. And now all of a sudden, when that works, you've incorporated that into your strength, into the things that you know, and you feel more confident because I've adapted what I heard and I've become more confident. That's the big difference. If I follow what I heard you say and I catch them, okay, good, I caught some fish. I really didn't do anything for my own self in terms of feeling better.
Right.
I just followed what you told me, and you know, that doesn't lend itself to expanding your knowledge base a great deal, you know, moving forward.
Right. Okay.
So I think that Doc Talk is one of these things that in small doses, like I said, in small doses and in the right perspective, you can use to help you, but you certainly don't want to rely on it.
So, Mark, you've been fishing for, years and years and years, and you've been doing it on the professional level for years. Have you kind of figured out your own technique of like, okay, I'm going to walk the dock and pick up little things, but if it doesn't fit, I'm just going to disregard it? Or like, how have you developed your own kind of dock talk?
Yeah, well, and that's a good point, is that there's also some perils of dock talk, and that is you never know whether the information you're getting is accurate or not. I mean, let's face it, in a tournament situation, I might give you totally wrong information, just to kind of lead you, hey, if you spend the next hour throwing that rattle trap around, you got no chance at all of catching anything, but that wastes more of your practice time.
That's definitely the ugly of
talk, right? Sure. And it's out there and it happens. So one of the things is that you're paying attention to who the source is and how reliable is that dock talk source. Do I believe what they're telling me in the first place? But again, I still go back to, even if I believe 100% what they're telling me, I still have to kind of filter that with, is that something I can do? Does that fit into my game plan in terms of how I want to fish, where I want to fish, and all of those kinds of things as well. I will tell you that there are certain people that I will talk to during a practice day and give a call and say, hey, how are you doing? You got any info for me? But what I'm doing for the most part is I'm taking that info and I'm sorting it. Are they catching them shallow? Are they catching them deep? Are they using moving baits versus baits, slower moving baits and things like that? So I'm not going to necessarily ask for the details of what color were you throwing and what weight and all of that kind of stuff, as opposed to just help me to figure out the fish, not to imitate what you're doing. That to me is always going to be more beneficial in the long run. Guys, we hope you like this episode. If so, we've got an ice fishing episode coming up tomorrow. I know it's a little off the beaten track, and especially given the fact that it's like 40 degrees out right now and there's no ice on any of the lakes.
And the ice fishing is an interesting topic, but I'm going to admit, if no one can go ice fishing this year, I'm not going to be upset.
You're not going to be concerned about it?
No.
There are guys out there that are going to want to ice fish, and we got some great safety tips coming up tomorrow on that, and also some excellent savings that you can get on your ice fishing gear. So you want to stick around tomorrow for that episode. We will see you tomorrow on Mark Fisher Outdoors.
Stay channeled.